और बड़ी अच्छी बात, दोनों सेम फेज में होती हैं एक साथ। क्लियर? दोनों सेम फेज में होती हैं एक साथ अपनी मैक्सिमम वैल्यू पे और एक साथ 0। ओके चलिए।
Students, let's start with the topic of electrostatics. In electrostatics, we can simply state it as the study of interactions and electrical effects due to static charges, that is charges at rest. Mainly in this particular topic, we are going to deal only with the static charges. That's why it is termed as electrostatics. So, very first thing we are going to study about is a charge and its characteristic. There are a few facts which we need to understand and discuss. One by one, we just take it up. Like the very first thing is what we mean by charge. We can simply state that charge is a property of a matter due to which electrical and magnetic effects are produced. In your early classes, you might have studied about electricity and magnetism, and all kind of electrical and magnetic effects are produced by a property on a matter which is termed as a charge. We know well that all matter are composed of atoms, so we can simply state all matter in a surrounding which we can see. We can simply say all matter composed of atoms. And if we talk about an atom, we can simply state an atom consists of two parts. One is its nucleus, and other is its extranuclear part in which there are electrons. Electrons are negatively charged, which you all know, and the nucleus consists of some particles which we call nucleons, and majority of the nucleons and nucleus are protons and neutrons. Other nucleons are not in our we talk about charging of a body. If we just talk about charging of a body, our body can be charged. We can simply state a body can be charged by addition or a removal of electrons from it. Like if we are having a body, and if we remove some electrons from the body, and if some electrons are removed, as the body is neutral, we can simply state when electrons are removed, this will be positively charged. As an atom is electrically neutral and the body is made up of neutral atoms, so earlier it was neutral, and if some electrons are removed from the body, it will become positively charged. Similarly, if on a body some electrons are supplied, so these will be excess electrons on the body, due to which we can say it will be negatively charged. So to charge a body, the simplest way out is by addition or removal of electrons. And sometimes students might think, why can't we charge a body by addition or removal of protons? That's quite difficult because protons are there inside the nucleus, and it requires excessive amount of energy to remove a proton from a nucleus. And free protons in nature, it is very difficult to achieve because these are either in case of hydrogen ion or in case of some bound state that we'll discuss later in nuclear physics. The functions of x. So we can say if u and v are two functions of x, then y will also be an indirect function of x, when we'll substitute the values of u and v here. In this situation, the value of dy by dx can be given by product rule, which says whenever there are two functions in product form, we keep one function as it is and we differentiate the other. Like we write u as it is, we differentiate v, that is dv by dx, plus we keep the second function as it is and we differentiate the first, that is du by dx. This is the way how we are going to define product rule. Where again u and v both are functions of x. So again we can say that y is an indirect function of x when the values of u and v are substituted here. In this situation, the direct rule for finding or calculation of the value of dy by dx says, in denominator we keep the square of the function in denominator, and in numerator we keep denominator as it is, we differentiate the numerator, minus we keep numerator as it is and we differentiate the denominator. This is the relation we use for quotient rule. So you just keep this relation in mind. Like for an example, if you are given with y is equals to 10x upon x cube, y is equals to 10x upon x cube, and we are asked to calculate the value of dy by dx, we'll directly use this particular relation for calculation of dy by dx for this particular function. So here dy by dx can be given as, in denominator I'll keep square of this denominator, that is x to the power 6. In numerator I keep x cube as it is and I differentiate 10x, that is v into du by dx. So here it will be sec square x, minus I keep 10x as it is and differentiate x cube, it will be 3x square into 10x. So here this is the answer to this particular problem where we need to differentiate 10x. Contrary, in case of definite integration, we integrate the integrand within specified limits. Now we'll just see what these limits are. And the important thing to understand is, in this case, the result will be an absolute value. It is not dependent on any constant. It is always an absolute value. You can also write this in definite integration. We always specify lower and upper limits of integration. There is a specific procedure how we apply limits and how we substitute the value of limits in the integrand. Let's also discuss the procedure of limits application, and we substitute upper limit, then lower limit, and we subtract the two results of this function. Always be careful that the limits we are substituting or we are applying, it must be of the variable with respect to which we are carrying out the integration. Here we know the integration of x square can be directly written as x cube by 3. Now we apply the limits from 2 to 3. If you substitute first the upper limit, you will see the result will be 3 cube by 3 minus, then we substitute the lower limit, it will be 2 cube by 3. So here we are getting the result, this is 27 by 3, that is 9 minus 8 by 3. So your result will be 19 by 3. This is an absolute value. This 19 by 3 is the result of this definite integration. If we take up another example, like we need to evaluate I is equals to integration of cos x dx from 0 to pi by 2. We know well that integration of cos x can be written as sin x. So here I can be written as sin x. We don't put any constant of integration rather than just taking a constant, we apply limits from 0 to pi by 2. Now first we put the upper limit, then we put the lower limit, and we subtract this value. So this will become sin of pi by 2 minus sin of 0. So here we know sin pi by 2 is 1, sin 0 is 0. So our answer to this definite integration is 1. This is integration of 2 pi x dx, and we'll integrate the values of x from 0 to the outer circumference, that is 0 to r. Here 2 pi is a constant, and integration of x can be written as x square by 2. Then we put the limits from 0 to r. Here 2 gets cancelled out, it will be pi. This is r square minus 0. The result will be pi r square. which we already know that it is the area of the circle, but here we evaluated this pi r square by using the concept of integration, for which once again I must tell you, if we want to evaluate the area of an object, we need to consider a small element in the object, and we find out the area of that element and we integrate it corresponding to the lower and upper limit so that the area of whole object can be determined. Required to find the angle between p vector that is given as 3 I cap plus 2 j cap plus k cap and another q vector which is I cap plus j cap plus k cap. We are required to find the angle between these vectors. So we first find out the unit vectors along p vector and q vector. In this situation we can state unit vectors in the direction of p vector and q vector are, here you can see p cap will be equals to p vector by its magnitude, so it is 3 I cap plus 2 j cap plus k cap divided by the magnitude will be 3 square plus 2 square plus 1 is 9 plus 4 13 is plus 1, that is root 14. Similarly we find out q cap, it is I cap plus j cap plus k cap divided by its magnitude, that is root 3. Now if theta is angle between p vector and q vector, this implies we can write theta is equals to cos inverse of p cap dot q cap. So here it gives us cos inverse of p and q. When we take up the dot product, you can see it is 3 into 1 3 plus 2 into 1 plus 1 into 1. This will become 3 plus 2 plus 1 upon this root of 14 into 3, that will be 42. So this becomes cos inverse of root 6 by 7. This is the answer. Vector is equals to 4 I cap minus 3 j cap plus k cap, and we have b vector is equals to I cap minus j cap plus 2 k cap, and we are required to find b cross a. This b cross a we want to evaluate. So what we'll do is we just put the values b and a. B vector is I cap minus j cap plus 2 k cap. We want to take its cross product with 4 I cap minus 3 j cap plus k cap. Now we just find out the product. You can simply say when I cap is multiplied with 4 I cap using the rule of cross product, I cross I will be 0. So first term will not result any quantity. But when we calculate I cross j, we know I cross j is k cap. So you can see what it will become. It will be minus 3 k cap. If I find out I cross k, you can say I cross k will be minus j. So in this situation it will be minus j. If we come to the second term, you can directly ignore the second term because j cross j is 0. Whatever result we are going to get is by j cross I and j cross k. If we find j cross I, you can see j cross I will be minus k and this will become plus 4 k cap. And j cross k, you can see it is I cap, so this will be minus I cap. Similarly, k we can ignore. It will be k cross I is j. It will be plus 8, 4 into 2, it will be 8 j cap. And k cross j, when we calculate, k cross j, you can see it will be minus I cap. So if we calculate k cross j, this will be minus 3 into 2 will be minus 6. It will be plus 6 I cap. This is the way how we evaluate. Now we can just take up all the terms common. The 6i minus I, it will be minus 6i minus I will be 5 I cap plus 7 j cap plus k cap. This is the result of this question, which is b cross a.
What if I give you a point charge and a conductor? The point charge is kept at a distance of 0, 0, d along the z-axis, and I ask you to calculate the electric field at some particular point xyz. You know, it is very, very difficult to solve this problem using conventional methods, as you don't know what is the amount of induced charge due to this positive charge onto the conductor. But what if I tell you that there is a very, very short and incredible method to do this? That method is only applicable for few symmetries, but it is applicable here. You can just remove the conductor like it doesn't exist, and you can put a charge of opposite sign at the same distance as the positive charge in this problem, and we can calculate the electric field like we do for 2-point charges. It is that powerful. Thank you.
There are 2-point charges Q1 and Q2. We know that like charges repel each other and like charges attract each other. So if these both are positive charges, these will repel each other with a force magnitude F, and say the separation between the two charges is R. According to Coulomb's law, according to this law, we can state the magnitude of force is directly proportional to the product of these two charges Q1 and Q2, and the force is also inversely proportional to the square of the separation between the two charges. That means it is an inverse square law. And here if we combine the two expressions of proportionality, it gives F is equals to K Q1 Q2 by R square. And in this situation here, K we call a proportionality constant is termed as a electrostatic constant, which depends on medium in which the charges are submerged. Value of K we are going to discuss in detail step by step. Here just keep in mind that the value of K depends on medium, and for free space you can just write down the value. We'll also calculate it and see how it is calculated. The value of K is written as 9 into 10 to the power 9. It is used in SI units, and if you just deduce the units from here, it will be Newton meter square per Coulomb square. We know well that the next surrounding produces electric field, and so at a distance R from this point charge, we wish to measure the electric field strength at point P, for which we place a test charge Q0 over here. We know that test charge is also positive charge. So this positive Q charge will repel this test charge with a force F, of which magnitude we can calculate by Coulomb's law as K Q0 by R square, and we can directly write electric field strength at point P will be, this can be given as EP, and this will be F by Q0, which can be written as we substitute the value of F, it is KQ by R square. In free space, we can also write K as 1 by 4 pi epsilon, as the electric constant of free space is unity. This Q by R square. This is the way how we write. Now in this equation, we can also write the vector form of electric field. In its vector form, we can directly write EP vector, which can be given in terms of the position vector of the location where we wish to find the electric field EP. So this can be written as KQ by R square multiplied by unit vector in the direction of position vector, or this electric field at point P can also be written as KQ by R cube R vector. This is the way how we write it. But you just keep in mind that the magnitude of electric field at point P is given by kq by r square, which is the most common and useful relation. Here in the figure, there is a uniformly charged rod AB with total charge q and length L. And so we are required to find the electric field strength at point P due to this rod. And we follow the same procedure which we have taken up in the previous articles. At a distance x from this point O, we consider a small element of width dx, and say its charge will be dq, then dq will be lambda dx. Here lambda we can write as q by L, that is the linear charge density of this rod. And this dq we can consider as a point charge. So at point P, due to dq electric field, d will be in the direction away from this dq, and we integrate it from left hand to the right hand of the rod. And say in this equation, if this line is making angle theta with the vertical direction, and again we have to resolve this electric field into two components. One will be d sine theta in horizontal direction and d cos theta in vertical direction. So we can find out the electric field at point P in x direction is, electric field in x direction we can write as integration of d sine theta. If we substitute the values, d can be written as the result of a point charge. So in this equation it will be k, dq we can write as lambda dx upon x square plus r square. And in this triangle sine theta we can write as x upon root of x square plus r square. Limits of integration for x we can write from point A to B, or we can also transform this x into theta, and we can substitute the limits of integration in terms of theta, which is from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1, where theta 1, theta 2 are angles subtended by point P to the ends of the rod with respect to vertical direction. So here we can write let x is equals to r tan theta, which will result dx is r sec square theta d theta. If we substitute the values here, we get the value of ex as this is integration of k limit equation. This r gets cancelled out, sec square theta gets cancelled out, and sine theta will be left over because tan theta by sec theta is sine theta. So this will be k lambda by r integration of sine theta d theta, which will be integrated from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1, that is the limits of values of theta from one end to the other end of the rod. So on integrating this result, ex will be k lambda by r, and their sine theta integration will be minus cos theta, in which we apply limits from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1, which will give us electric field in x direction to be k lambda by r cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. So just be careful about the result. There's the electric field in x direction due to a uniformly charged rod. If this point will be exactly made with theta 1, theta 2 will be equal, and these two gets cancelled out, and electric field in x direction becomes 0. That is the similar situation we have studied in case of so now if we write down electric field at P in y direction, then this Ey can be written as integration of the cos theta, where we substitute the value, this will be integration of k lambda dx by x square plus r square multiplied by cos theta, and the triangle can be given as r by root of x square plus r square. And then this equation again, if we substitute let x is equals to r tan theta, this implies that it will give us dx as r sec square theta d theta. On substituting, you can see the value of Ey, we are going to get the integration of k lambda r dx, we can write as r sec square theta d theta divided by r cube sec cube theta. In this equation, the sec square and this r square gets cancelled out. Limit will again substitute from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1. So finally we are getting Ey as k lambda by r integration of cos theta d theta from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1, of which the integration will be k lambda by r, it is sine theta. Limits we substitute from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1. So finally this Ey will be k lambda by r. On substituting, this will give us sine theta 1 plus sine theta 2. That will be the result for electric field due to the rod in y direction. And we know well that the potential energy is a characteristic property at a point in a conservative force field. And it is written as in a conservative force field, it is the work done in assembling a system of particles. When a system of particles is assembled in a given configuration and shape, then whatever work is done, that is stored in the field or in the conservative force field in form of potential energy that we already studied in the section of work energy part. Now let's define what do we mean by electrostatic potential energy, which is defined for a system of charged particles. So we can simply state that it is the work done in assembling a system of charges or charged particles against the electric forces of the system. So whatever we do in assembling the system, that total energy supplied in doing work will be stored in form of electrostatic potential energy of the system. About this electrostatic potential energy, we can write that this is also termed as interaction energy of a system of charges, because it was basically the work done against the interaction forces of the charges. And one more reference, we can define that for calculation of this electrostatic potential energy, we consider a reference of zero potential energy when charges are at infinite separation. Because we know when charges are at infinite separation, no interaction exists. We can say when no will be there among charges when they are at infinite separation. This is considered a reference of zero potential energy, and with respect to that position, we define the potential energy of a system of charges in a conservative force field. Here we are talking about electrostatic forces only. So this interaction energy we can directly write down by the expression of interaction energy of 2 point charges, that is q naught by r. So now we can write potential at point P is given by, this can be directly written as V at point P is equals to U by Q naught, because this U is the interaction energy of the charge, that is charge Q naught, and potential is the interaction energy of a unit charge. So it can be directly given as Vp. If we substitute, it will be given as KQ by R. So it's quite a useful relation, and you should always keep it in mind, like electric field due to a charge at a distance r is given by KQ by R square, and a potential due to a charge is given by KQ by R. And always remember it is a scalar quantity because it is representing energy of a unit positive charge. Energy of this system. Here we can see there are 3 pair of charges. So this interaction energy for Q1 and Q2 we can write as KQ1 Q2 by R3, plus due to the pair of Q1 and Q3 it will be KQ1 Q3 by R2, plus due to the pair of Q2 Q3 it will be KQ2 Q3 by R1. This is the way how we calculate the total interaction energy of a system of charged particles. Find electric potential at a distance x in front of the sheet. Now, if we draw the physical situation, say if this is a uniformly charged non-conducting sheet with a surface charge density sigma, we know that in front of it the electric field is given by the expression sigma by 2 epsilon. And say at a distance x from the surface of sheet, there is a point P, and on its surface there is a point S. We are given that potential at the surface point is V naught, and we know that in the direction of electric field, electric potential always decreases. That means potential at P is certainly less than potential at S, and here electric field is uniform. So we know in uniform electric field, potential difference is given as, here we can write Vs minus Vp is equals to E multiplied by X. You can recall that we have studied it is given Ed, where D is the separation between the 2 points or the 2 equipotential surfaces. So here electric field is in the direction of line joining S and P. So here we can write Vs, we can write as V naught minus Vp, which we are required to calculate, is equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught multiplied by X. So from here we can directly find out the value of potential at point P at a distance X from the sheet. It is V naught minus sigma X by 2 epsilon naught. This will be the answer to this problem.
Divergence of negative gradient of electric potential, that is equal to वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी, जिस पॉइंट में ये इलेक्ट्रिक पोटेंशियल की बात कर रहे हैं, सो वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी डिवाइडेड बाय एप्सिलॉन नॉट। सो यहाँ से आगे हम ये नेगेटिव साइन को यहाँ बाहर निकाल सकते हैं और उसी को हम इस साइड में चेक कर सकते हैं, कह सकते हैं नेगेटिव 1 से अगर दोनों साइड को मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं तो हमें क्या मिलेगा, हमें मिलेगा डाइवर्जेंस ऑफ gradient of electric potential is equal to negative volume charge density divided by epsilon naught। अब यहाँ पर ये जो डाइवर्जेंस ऑफ ग्रेडियंट होता है इसे हम कुछ इस तरह से रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं, ये हो गया नेबुला स्क्वायर, इसे लैप्लासियन ऑपरेटर कहा जाता है। सो लैप्लासियन सिंपली आप लैप्लासियन भी कह सकते हैं, लैप्लासियन ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक पोटेंशियल इज इक्वल टू नेगेटिव ऑफ वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी डिवाइडेड बाय एप्सिलॉन नॉट, एब्सोल्यूट परमिटिविटी ऑफ दैट मीडियम एंड वी कंसीडर दैट मीडियम एज फ्री स्पेस। सो एब्सोल्यूट परमिटिविटी ऑफ फ्री स्पेस, ये जो है यही है पोइसोन इक्वेशन। दिस वन इज पोइसोन इक्वेशन, पोइसोन आपको सब ये लगा दूं, इंग्लिश आपको लगाना पड़ेगा, पोइसोन इक्वेशन। अब एक बार इसका मतलब देख लेते हैं, काफी डिटेल्स में बात नहीं करेंगे, सिर्फ एक बार रफ मतलब देख लेते हैं। मान लें किसी स्पेस की हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये वो स्पेस है, यहाँ पर कहीं चार्ज रखा हुआ है, कहीं यहाँ चार्ज है, यहाँ चार्ज है, यहाँ चार्ज है, बहुत सारी जगह पे चार्ज रखा हुआ है। अगर हम किसी एक जगह पे हम कंसीडर करते हैं, किसी पॉइंट को कंसीडर करते हैं, सपोज देयर इज अ पॉइंट है, तो यहाँ इस पॉइंट के सराउंडिंग्स अगर मैं बहुत छोटा सा वॉल्यूम कंसीडर करूँ तो वहाँ पर क्या कोई चार्ज है? नहीं है। तो वहाँ पर चार्ज नहीं है, तो वहाँ का जो वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी होगा दैट इज इक्वल टू 0। मतलब कि यहाँ इस पॉइंट में जो भी पोटेंशियल है उसका जो लैप्लासियन है, लैप्लासियन ऑफ पोटेंशियल उस पॉइंट पे जो होगा दैट शुड बी इक्वल टू 0, क्योंकि यहाँ पर ये फार्मूला जब हम यूज करेंगे तो यहाँ पर ये जो है ये वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी, दैट वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी 0, सो दैट इज इक्वल टू 0। समझदार बात है, दैट इज लैप्लास इक्वेशन। अब अगर पॉइंट को हम बात करें पोइसोन इक्वेशन पे, अगर पॉइंट को हम कहीं यहाँ पर कंसीडर करते हैं, ये वो पॉइंट है, तो यहाँ पर जो वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी है दैट इज नॉट इक्वल टू 0, इसका फाइनाइट वैल्यू होगा क्योंकि इस जगह पे चार्ज जो है रिसाइड कर रहा है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में हमें यूज करना होगा पोइसोन इक्वेशन को। तो वहाँ पर जो पोटेंशियल है उसका लैप्लासियन है दैट शुड बी इक्वल टू उस जगह, उस पॉइंट के सराउंडिंग विसिनिटी पे, क्योंकि पॉइंट टू 0 डायमेंशनल एंटिटी है। सो 3 डायमेंशनल बनाने के लिए हमें उसके विसिनिटी में थोड़ा सा जगह हमें कंसीडर करना होगा, थोड़ा सा स्पेस कंसीडर करना होगा, एंड प्रोवाइडेड दैट कि वो स्पेस छोटा से छोटा हो। आप स्पेस को बड़ा कंसीडर करेंगे तो एरर ज्यादा होगा। फॉर एग्जांपल इस पॉइंट में मैं अगर कोई भी पॉइंट रिलेशन पता करना चाहता हूं तो इसके लिए मुझे यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा वॉल्यूम कंसीडर करना पड़ता है, तब जाके जो पॉइंट रिलेशन है डाइवर्जेंस हो गया वो सारी चीजें डिराइव हो पाता है, क्योंकि पॉइंट जो है 0 डायमेंशनल एंटिटी है, तो हमें 3 डायमेंशनल एंटिटी एक स्फेरिकल बॉडी कंसीडर करना होगा। इस बॉडी को अगर आप बहुत बड़ा ड्रॉ करेंगे तो एरर का एफिनिटी ज्यादा हो जाएगा, एरर का चांसेस ज्यादा हो जाएगा, एरर का परसेंटेज ज्यादा हो जाएगा। तो छोटा सा हमें कंसीडर करना होता है। तो मैं बात कर रहा था यहाँ पर इस जगह पे जो भी वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी होगा, मतलब इस पॉइंट के इर्द-गिर्द इसके विसिनिटी में छोटा सा वॉल्यूम कंसीडर कर लें, उस वॉल्यूम के अंदर चूंकि बहुत छोटा होगा तो उसके अंदर जो चार्ज डेंसिटी होगा, वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी उसे हम कांस्टेंट मान सकते हैं। तो वहाँ का जो वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी होगा उसका फाइनाइट वैल्यू होगा, दैट वैल्यू शुड बी है। तो इस तरह से हम पोइसोन इक्वेशन को यूज करते हैं। अब जैसे कि थोड़ी देर पहले हमने बात किया कि अगर किसी जगह पे, जैसे कि इस पॉइंट पे अगर किसी जगह पे चार्ज ना हो, ध्यान दें इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि पूरा स्पेस में ही चार्ज नहीं है। अगर पूरा स्पेस में चार्ज नहीं होगा तो पोटेंशियल 0 ही हो जाएगा किसी भी पॉइंट का। तो ऐसा नहीं है, पूरा स्पेस में चार्ज नहीं है, चार्ज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, लेकिन जिस पॉइंट की हम बात कर रहे हैं उस पॉइंट में चार्ज नहीं है। तो ऐसे स्थिति में यही इक्वेशन जो है, ये इक्वेशन कुछ ऐसे इक्वेशन में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा कि लैप्लासियन ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक पोटेंशियल इज इक्वल टू, जैसे कि हम इस पॉइंट की बात करें तो दैट इज इक्वल टू यहाँ पर रो का वैल्यू है, वॉल्यूम चार्ज डेंसिटी का वैल्यू है वो 0 है, सो दैट इज इक्वल टू 0 एंड दिस इज, जैसे कि हमने बात किया इससे पहले, दिस इज लैप्लास इक्वेशन या लैप्लास इक्वेशन। सो दिस इज लैप्लास इंग्लिश में पूरा अपोस्ट्रोफी लगानी हो, लैप्लास इक्वेशन। क्या आप अपने नॉलेज
आईटी सेल के चीफ हैं अमित मालवीय, उन्होंने भी इस भाषण का क्लिप डाला है, लिखा है क्रोनोलॉजी समझिए। इसमें सबसे पहले सोनम वांगचुक के उस भाषण का इस्तेमाल हुआ है जिसमें सोनम वांगचुक ने कभी कहा ही नहीं, जैसा अमित मालवीय दावा कर रहे हैं। इस बात को ट्विटर पर ऑल्ट न्यूज के जुबैर सहित कई लोगों ने चुनौती दी है। पूरा भाषण चलाकर दिखाया है कि सोनम वांगचुक तो यह कह रहे हैं कि हमें शांतिपूर्ण प्रदर्शन करना चाहिए, भूख हड़ताल करनी चाहिए, ना कि नेपाल, बांग्लादेश या श्रीलंका की तरह हिंसा करनी चाहिए। लेकिन उनके भाषण का यह सब हिस्सा काट दिया गया और इस तरह से दिखाया गया जैसे वे हिंसा के लिए उकसा रहे हैं। आखिर सोनम वांगचुक के खिलाफ झूठ और प्रपंच का सहारा क्यों लिया जा रहा है? अगर ठोस आधार होता तो किसी फोटो को लेकर, किसी भाषण के क्लिप को लेकर यह सब नहीं करना पड़ता। इस आधे अधूरे वीडियो को गोदी चैनलों पर भी चलाया गया है, जिनका काम यह होना चाहिए कि इस वीडियो की जांच करते, दर्शक को सच बताते, लेकिन वे भी आईटी सेल के क्रॉप वीडियो को चलाते हुए पकड़े गए हैं, या फिर इस वीडियो की सच्चाई बताने के लिए आगे नहीं।
अभी मैं बीकॉम कर रही हूँ। ये क्या कर रही है, क्या पढ़ाई कर रही है?
बैचलर्स इन फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स।
बैफ कर रही है?
नहीं,
क्या ये?
स्टॉक मार्केट। स्टॉक मार्केट में डिग्री है।
नहीं, क्या है शॉर्ट फॉर्म बताओ उसका?
BF।
बोल रहा सट्टा लगाती है ये। हाँ, तो तेरा क्या यही प्लान है, आगे क्या करेगी इसके बाद?
नहीं, करियर चेंज करना है। मॉम डैड ने
तू करियर नहीं, नाम चेंज कर पहले। आई बड़ी मैत्री, ऐसा कुछ नाम ट्राई करना, अनपढ़। हाँ, करियर चेंज करके क्या करना है लाइफ में?
साइकोलॉजी।
साइकोलॉजी पढ़नी है। बॉयफ्रेंड रहा है कभी?
हाँ।
उसका पढ़ पाई?
हाँ, अभी वो थेरेपी में है।
एक क्लाइंट बढ़ा के दिया ना मेरे,
और मेरी थेरेपिस्ट के पास है।
तुम पूरा ट्रॉमा ही दे रहे हो क्या गिफ्ट में? क्या इतना क्या ट्रॉमा ट्रिगर किया तूने उसका और उसने तेरा? तू क्यों जाती है थेरेपी?
आई हैव सम इश्यूज।
अच्छा, कुछ पर्सनल है क्या? हाँ बता। हमें एक्सट्रीम पर्सनल इश्यूज जानने। थेरेपिस्ट कितना लेता है?
2000।
मैंने 500 लिया ना, बता। क्या गलती कर रहा था, क्या गलती की है उसने तुझे डेट करने के अलावा? वेरी नाइस। मम्मी ने पूछा था, सोचा था पढ़ाई करेगी, बेटी लौट लड़कों की।
analysis of electric flux from a closed surface and its relation with the enclosed charge. Let's first write down in the statement there are some charges placed like this, which are Q1 minus Q2, Q3 minus Q4 minus Q5, Q6 and so on. And say we consider a closed surface which encloses the two charges Q3 and minus Q5 and say the surface is named as M. Then we can say total electric flux coming out from the surface M is this flux coming out from the surface M, which can be calculated by the expression integration of E dot ds for the closed surface. And this is the way how we mathematically calculate. We consider a small elemental area ds on the surface and we find out the net electric field at this point where this ds is considered, which is due to all the charges in the region. And by calculating E dot ds for the overall surface M, we get the total flux coming out from the surface. And according to Gauss law, this total flux emerging out from the surface is equal to product of sum of the enclosed charges, which are Q3 and minus Q5. So it is written as sum of enclosed charges by epsilon naught because it is multiplied with the factor 1 by epsilon. So it can be written as Q3 minus Q5 by epsilon naught. That is the total flux which is coming out, that can be given either by calculation of this flux by using electric field or directly by using Gauss law, that is the product of enclosed charges and 1 by epsilon naught. This is the way how we use Gauss law in various situations. And the surface on which this Gauss law is applied are generally termed as Gaussian surfaces. In this case here, this surface M is our Gaussian surface. All is a uniformly charged wire, which is charged with a linear charge density lambda coulomb per meter. And say from this wire, at some distance, at some radial distance, we are required to find the electric field at a point. Then by using Gauss law, we need to consider a Gaussian surface such that the point where we wish to find out the electric field will lie on the Gaussian surface, as well as at every point of the surface, the electric field is either parallel or perpendicular to the surface. Let's consider a cylindrical Gaussian surface in the situation as we can see it here. And in the situation, point P is the point located on the lateral, second and third. Here, first and third are the circular sections of the cylindrical surface, and second part is the lateral section of the cylindrical surface. In the situation, we just have a look on the electric field at every point on the lateral surface. If we consider an element of area ds, its ds vector and electric field vector both will be parallel to each other. And on the side circular faces, we can see area vector and electric field vector are perpendicular to each other. Same phenomena will take place here on the section 3, where ds vector is normal to the surface and electric field vector is equals to lambda L. So here the total flux calculation can also split up in three parts, that is integration of E dot ds for the section 1 plus integration of E dot ds for the section 2 plus integration of E dot ds for the section 3, which is equal to total enclosed charges lambda L by the second section. We can see at every point E and ds are parallel, and by symmetry we can say that E is uniform at every point on the surface. So it is E integration of ds for the section 2 is equals to lambda L by epsilon naught. And here total integral of the elemental area over the surface is the total area of the lateral surface of the cylindrical section. So this will be written as 2 pi RL, which is equals to lambda L by epsilon naught. Here L gets cancelled out and the value of electric field will be lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R, which can also be written as 2k lambda by R. This is the result of which we all. This is a statement we call Ampere's law. In the situation, say in a region there are some current carrying wires which are carrying a current I1, this is carrying a current I2, there's another wire which is carrying a opposite current I3. In the situation, say we consider a closed path like this, which is enclosing the three currents, and say the direction of path we have taken anti-clockwise and the name of path is M. Then to find out the line integral of magnetic induction, we need to consider a small element on this path, say the element is taken as dl. And at the location of dl, due to these wires, as well as due to some other wires which are located in the outside region, say this is a wire I4, this is a wire I5 and so on, the net magnetic induction at the location of dl is say given by B vector. Then here we can write integration of B dot dl, that is the line integral of magnetic induction at a point on this path M, and say if it is integrated for the closed path M, then according to Ampere's law, this line integral for the whole closed path is written as mu naught times the total current enclosed by the area through which the current is passing. Here in the situation, we can see a current passing, the total current passing through this area will be I1, I2 and minus I3. So this can be written as I1 plus I2 minus I3. Conductors, we define a term called capacitance, which relates the charge and relative potential of the couple of conductors written as Q equal to CV. In this situation, the C is the proportionality constant, which is called capacitance of the conductor in the given medium in which the conductor is placed. And here we talk about the potential. Actually, absolute potential can never be defined. So this potential V is always the potential difference with respect to a given reference. In general, for an isolated conductor, reference is taken at infinity where potential is 0. So V can be written as potential of the conductor, amount of charge which is supplied divided by the potential difference VA minus VB. And in this situation, this potential difference we can calculate by using the electric field at a distance x from the axis of the positively charged wire. If this electric field, we can easily calculate the value. Due to this positive lambda, it will be 2k lambda by x, and due to the negative also it will be in same direction, then it will be plus 2k lambda by d minus x, because the separation of the point from the axis of the negatively charged wire is d minus x, and both will be added up because positive as well as negative will develop electric field at this point P in same direction. And using this electric field, we can easily calculate the potential difference between the two wires VA minus VB. That can be given as integration of E dot dx, and that is integrated from wire A to wire B. And in the situation, we know inside the metal electric field is 0, so we'll integrate this electric field from the surface of this wire to the surface of the negatively charged wire. So the limits of x will substitute from x equals to r to x equals to d minus r. We substitute the values of electric field. Obviously, a dot product we can omit because E and dx are in same direction. So it is 2k lambda by x plus 2k lambda by d minus x into dx, which is integrated from r to d minus r. On integrating this result, we'll be getting this VA minus VB is equals to This will be integrated 2k lambda ln x, and if we substitute the limit from r to d minus r, it will be ln of d minus r by r, plus on integrating 2k lambda by d minus x, it will be 2k lambda ln of the argument of this natural log, and then we can see both the terms are identical. That will be added up. Now in this situation, if it is VA minus VB, then using this relation we can find out the capacitance of such a system, which is Q divided by the potential difference 4k lambda. We can write as Q by L is ln of d minus r by r. Q gets cancelled out, and if we ignore this r compared to d because d is very greater than r, this can be written as k can also be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and it will be pi epsilon naught L upon ln of d by r. Or more precisely, we can also write d minus r by r. Just have taken an approximation. So this is the capacitance of this two large parallel plates, each of area A and separated by a small distance d. Now in this situation, we wish to find out the capacitance of such a system. Say we supply a charge from plate Y to plate X, then X will be carrying a charge plus Q and Y will be carrying a charge minus Q. Then according to the distribution of charge on parallel plates, we already studied that in this situation, all the charge of the plate X will be on its inner surface as well as on plate Y also be on its inner surface. That means here the electric field will exist only between the two plates. So we can give the capacitance of the region between the two plates, that is called the parallel plate capacitor. In this situation, here capacitance C can be given as supplied charge divided by Vx minus, it can be written as Q by A by epsilon naught. And as electric field is considered to be uniform as the plates are large and the separation is small, here we can write the potential difference Vx minus Vy is equals to Ed. That can be written as Qd by A epsilon naught. If we substitute the value of this potential difference here, you can see the capacitance can be given by Q upon Qd by A epsilon naught. And here the charge Q gets cancelled out and the capacitance will be epsilon naught A by D. This is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. And if between the two plates a dielectric is filled, a medium is filled with the dielectric constant epsilon r, we can directly write if a medium over the dielectric constant epsilon r is filled between plates, this capacitance becomes C prime, that will be epsilon naught A by D.